Thank you. Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. My name is Irene and I am your sergeant at arms of today's meeting. Our mission is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual hand raised, so we all can immediately see who is keeping the time. Our Toastmaster of the day, who will lead our meeting today, is Gilda Slow. Gilda joined Leadership Speak.
Madam Sergeant at Arms, Gilda is not here today, so I will be replacing her. This is Bram.
Thank you, Bram. So our Toastmaster of the day will be Bram.
Thank you very much. I'll introduce myself, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Irene, for starting this meeting. Welcome, everyone, to our meeting at Leadership Speak. Today's theme is Leaders Add Value. Welcome. I would ask either the Zoom master or actually Hannah, since Hannah is very quick to do this, could you please post the agenda in the chat for us? Thank you. Now, we've had a sudden last-minute changes on the agenda, which originally we had Zahra Moharrer, and then we had Gilda replace her because Zahra is in Turkey. And as we might all know, that in Turkey there's earth tremors happening currently, and it's not pretty safe out there. So Zahra has taken cover where she can safely, and she's safe. And Gilda was supposed to replace her, but we have some technical difficulties. So here I'm at the very last minute, come here to add value and go that extra mile if I can with today's agenda. So now, Hannah, let me know when the agenda is posted in the chat, or somebody can help you do that. So that'll be great. Now,
yeah, I need help.
Sure, yeah. So you can ask somebody there to help you with it. All right. So whoever can help you there will be good. Take your time, no worries. Sometimes emergencies happen. So now, the theme itself, leaders add value, is very profound in terms of why leaders add value. What is it supposed to mean? Before I go into that, we have some very important people in our midst here. And who are they? Well, you, the guests, are very, very important to us today. So I would like to welcome you all guests to the meeting. Sit back and watch what we do and how we sort of unroll the agenda as we go along. The agenda will be posted shortly in the chat. So just relax. There's going to be a guest book being posted in the chat. And there it is. Irene, thank you so much for posting the guest book in the chat for us. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're a guest, please do sign in the guest book so to let us know that who you are, where you are from, and leave us some comments as well. And if you are interested in Leadership Speak, by all means, let us know, and we will try our best. We don't really try. We will serve you to our very best and add value. And that is what the meeting is all about. So welcome, dear guests, and thank you for being here. Let me just check how many people we have in the room. Currently, we have, I believe it's 34. I'm not wearing my glasses. Yeah, hang a second. Let me wear my glasses, right? and see if it really is 34. And it is 34. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Brom Memon, 3 distinguished awards, 3 DTMs. I'm the club founder of Leadership Speak. Our club mandate is right over here. And we have members from, well, this is 30 countries. We haven't really updated this. We are from about 28, 29 different countries. The latest country that we added to our list of countries is Greece, which is not on this background here. We will get to it eventually. And then there's some countries that when there's one member in a country and they don't renew, of course, we lose that flag. So we have lost 1 or 2 flags and we've added some more flags. So about 28, 29 countries from all over the world. From where I am to where Holmes is, it is like 12 hours difference. We have members from Singapore, Indonesia, and Philippines. Go figure. And they are 12 hours away. So they get up very early to come to this meet. I mean, they stay up very late to come to this meeting as well. So now add value. Leaders add value. How do leaders add value? Well, leaders need to add. Thank you. Yes, I can see that Holmes is putting something in the chat there. And thank you, Holmes. I know time zone is not an issue for you because there's value here. We are adding value to everyone. So Holmes, thank you for, it is like 9:40 for you. And by the time we end, it'll be almost midnight before you leave here. Amazing. And Renan as well, he's from Philippines, he's right there on the screen. Add value means to go that extra mile to make sure that, you know, you are adding something extra. You are training people more than they would normally be trained in a Toastmasters club, especially, and out in the real world. When leaders add value, it's not about being self-centered. It is about everyone-centered. It is a more focus on the other person and how do you inspire and how do you uplift the other person. Now, our education speaker will be speaking more to this as we go along. But in the meantime, I will just say that adding value is something that we profoundly do at Leadership Speak. And hence, that is the reason we have about 55 members from about, let's say, almost 30 countries from all over the world. The time zones that span from one side to the other extreme side is about 13 to 14 hours in time difference, in time zones. So when people get together from all over the world like that, it means there is tremendous amount of value being added to this. And you will hear that today in our meeting. So ladies and gentlemen, and especially the guests, you can see that there is a guest book being posted in the chat. If you will please sign in the guest book, and I will come back to you as we go along for the guest book. Thank you, Irene. That's the guest book again. And we'll get back to you. Now, Hannah, is anyone helping you with the agenda to post in the chat for you?
Not at the moment. If somebody can please help me.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
We'll get that sorted out.
Thank you.
You can ask Baron or somebody. So I'm just looking at the agenda, being totally unprepared because like at the last second, I just jumped in. I wasn't even going to be in this meeting today. So let us have a look. Now, our Toastmaster is me, and our toast is going to be raised by Renan Arcila. Now, Renan Arcila, if you can spotlight Renan for me, Bindu. Our Zoom master is Bindu today. And spotlight me as Bindu. Spotlight me as well, so that I can introduce Renan. Bindu, take your time. Can you spotlight me? Can you see me, Bindu? All right. So quite a bit unprepared, but Renan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, bro. I'm quite busy the past few days, but I'm still able to prepare for this toast. This is my first time actually to have a toast or to lead the toast here in leadership.
Awesome. So you know, I've known you for about maybe more than 3 years because you were in my previous club as well, my speak, and so you know pretty much how to raise the toast anyways. So no doubt you will do a great job. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me. Oh, by the way, before I even go on further, our theme of the meeting runs throughout the meeting. So our toast will be geared towards the theme. Our grammarian role, the word of the day will be geared towards the theme. Our thought of the day at the end will be geared towards the theme, and our education speaker will speak to the theme for 20 minutes. So throughout the meeting, our theme is present. And our theme is, of course, leaders add value. Having said that, over to you, Rand, for raising the toast. Thank you.
Thank you, Bram. Fellow Toastmasters and dear guest, when I first joined Toastmasters, I thought it was simply about speaking well, projecting confidence, using vocal variety, crafting stories. But the deeper I got into my journey as a Toastmaster, the more I realized what Toastmasters is not just about communications. It's about leadership. And more importantly, leadership that adds value. In my work, if I'm going to relate that to myself, in my work in human resources, I see daily how leadership can either uplift or deplete an organization. One real life experience stands out. A few years ago, from my previous companies, we faced a challenging time, a massive restructuring. Employees' morale were low. Uncertainty was high. As HR, we were not just administrating changes. We had to lead with empathy. I remember sitting down several times with employees one-on-one, not just explaining policies, but listening to their fears, validating their emotions, and helping them see their beyond their titles. It was exhausting, but it was transformational. Through that process, we turned the culture from fear to trust. That's when I realized that leadership is not measured by the position you hold, but by the contribution you make to the lives of others. Similarly, in Toastmasters, it's easy to deliver a speech for applause. But real leadership happens when we mentor someone struggling with their speeches, especially icebreaker speech, because it is a first ever speech by the new Toastmaster. When we offer honest but kind evaluations, when we see not just a fellow speaker, but a future leader in every member. Every speech, every role we take, big or small, is a contribution to building a stronger, more supportive community. My takeaways are simple. Leadership is not about the spotlight. It's about shining the light on others. In HR and in real life, adding value often means listening first, speaking is the second. Growth happens not when we seek positions of power, but when we empower others. So today, because I think it's a morning there, please open your video and unmute yourselves. Raise your glasses and repeat after me. To all the leaders who lift others and adds value.
To all leaders
who add value.
and add
Adding
value.
value.
Added
Cheers.
value. Cheers.
Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Renan. Much appreciated. And you mentioned something very important, Renan, and that is leaders are, it's not about yourself, it's about others. It's about shining light on others, putting them in the spotlight. That is what leadership is all about. Thank you very much. That's so important. As well, there's a few critical things that are about adding value. And what are those? Being very clear with the communication and the intention. I've just put that in the chat for you to read that if you wish. The character, how they lead with consistency, integrity, and authenticity. That is when you can add value. These are the characteristics of a leader that can add value, and contribution and service, which makes people and the environment better through the actions, because leaders always walk the talk, right? And if you are into leadership, or you know what leadership all means about, then you know what I mean. And here's the news. Every one of you here is a leader. It doesn't matter whether you have a title or not. When you are making life about somebody else and adding value to them, and you're inspiring them, then it is no more about you. It's no more self-serving. So when somebody else is involved, I call that leadership. Because when you are able to influence and inspire people to take the direction that they want to go in, not your direction, the direction they want to go in, that is indeed leadership. And that's adding value. And here at Leadership Speak, we insist that when speakers speak here, when they're doing evaluations, they're listening very carefully as an evaluator, and as speakers, they speak in terms of why they are speaking that particular presentation. This is an advanced club, so the presentation they do here is not the presentation that we do at a community club. So we add value to the members by saying, speak about something that you're passionate about that you will use in the real world. And hence, it creates a greater community, and you can see the community is present here. And now we have got 35 people in the meeting right now. Some days we have about 50 people. Today we have 35. So thank you very much. And Holmes, thank you so much for putting that in the chat for us about clarity, character, and contribution. Exactly. Now, our education speaker will move. So before I move to the education speaker, we have the timer. So let's have the timer explain her role. Ghada Al-Morjarkish. Welcome. How are you, Ghada?
I'm good. How are you? Hi.
Very good.
Good morning. Good evening. Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ghada, your timer for today. I shall time you according to the times on the agenda. After that, I shall post them to the chat. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Ghada. And our grammarian is Miko. Oh, by the way, Ghada is just like 2 miles from where I am. And I'm in Mississauga, Ontario, which is next to Toronto. And Ghada and me we call ourselves neighbors.
Yeah, neighbors. Yeah, we are neighbors.
Our grammarian, if you can spotlight our grammarian, is Toastmaster Asan Miko, and he is all the way from Bangladesh. Miko, welcome. Over to you.
Thank you, President. Good morning, leaders, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. As a grammarian, it's my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language uses. I'll take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. The word of the day today is contribution, which is a noun. The meaning is the part played by a person or thing in bringing about a result or helping something to advance. If we use in a sentence, it can be like, Steve Jobs made a lasting contribution by designing the iPhone, or our president made an important contribution to the debate. Hope you guys can use the word of the day very frequently. Thank you, and over to our.
Thank you very much, Miko.
Yes.
And so let's all be a contribution to each other today. Miko, that's the first time I've used contribution after you introduced the word, but we've used the word already quite a bit before. Thank you very much for a wonderful word that contributes to adding value, because adding value is all about contribution. It's about service and inspiring others to the next level. That's the first and primary purpose of adding value. And there's so many other aspects, which let's put our education speaker on the spot, and because she is going to tell us more than I could tell you in 5 minutes about adding value. So our education speaker, Nicole Whyte, if you can spotlight her. And before we speak to Nicole Whyte, I'll ask the guests again. Now that you got a bit of gist of what we are about as an advanced club, please fill in the guest book. We would love to hear from you. So Irene, once more, the link for the guest book in the chat for us. Thank you. Now, Nicole Whyte is another person who lives like literally 5 kilometers further north. Rana lives about 2 miles south, and Nicole 5 miles north. So Nicole, you and Rana are like 7 miles apart, all right? We're all in the neighborhood.
Exactly. Hi, Bram.
So I want to ask you what the weather is, because I know it's like today's positive. Plus 5 or 6 degrees right now.
Yeah.
And with the wind chill, it's going a bit closer, much more cooler, where I'm at least.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we ask Nicole to speak, we will have her evaluator, who is a very good friend of mine from Nairobi, Rozy Rana. By the way, Rozy, my son sent me the Black Label Dorman's coffee.
Oh, good.
We had somebody who was coming over, and he didn't even tell me, and suddenly arrived at my door. Dorman's coffee.
How nice. That's an espresso then.
How
Great.
about you, Rozy? What are you going to be doing today?
So today it's my privilege to be evaluating the contribution by Nicole Whyte. As the education speaker, she will be delivering a longer speech today. It's a keynote type speech. It's level 5, project 1. And her objective is to practice developing a longer speech, and it needs to be keynote. So I'm actually repeating myself. The title of her speech, no, you give that, right, Prom? Sorry about that. I'm looking forward to Nicole's delivery. She's particularly asked me to look out for certain aspects, including her Zoom presence. So I'll be keenly monitoring her for those elements. Back to you, Bram.
Thank you, Rozy. And as you, for our guests here, I mentioned Dorman's Coffee because Rozy Rana in Nairobi is the managing director of that company. And it's our official drink at Leadership Speak. So I know in most Toastmasters club, we don't say that. Here we do. We are an advanced club, so we do say things like that. Nicole Whyte, she's going to be speaking about, of course, the true measure of a leader. She's speaking from, as we've heard from the evaluator, speaking professionally, presentation mastery. The speech is 18 to 22 minutes. Nicole Whyte, the true measure of a leader. The true measure of a leader, Nicole Whyte. Over to you.
Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, at the heart of leadership is one powerful principle, and that is adding value to others. The real question isn't how successful am I? It isn't how successful you are. It's whose life is better because we chose to lead with an adding value mindset. But what does it mean to add value? Simply put, adding value means making a meaningful and positive difference in someone's life. It's not always about big and bold actions. No, it's about being intentional in the small, consistent ones. It's when you uplift others through your words, your actions, and your presence. It's when you help someone grow, succeed, or believe in themselves. A few weeks ago, I attended a networking event aimed at fostering meaningful connections among women leaders in the automotive industry. I got to hear an inspiring panel of industry leaders sharing career success strategies. It was an evening filled with insights and inspirations. One of the panelists who stood out to me was Carrie Leong from the car dealership Lexus downtown Toronto. Her story left a lasting impression. It was full of grit and gratitude. She shared how, from the age of 17, she had one goal, and that goal was to become an automotive technician. But breaking into that field as a young woman was no easy feat. Time after time, door after door, she was turned away. No one was willing to give her a chance to fulfill her dream of making her mark in the male-dominated industry. After many knocks, finally, the owner of a car dealership gave her a chance. This is where Carrie was developed. Eventually, she met two seasoned female technicians who also saw her potential, just like the owner did. They believed in her and she was mentored. She said, "They made me believe that I belonged." These women Carrie mentioned, they weren't just good at their jobs. They were leaders who added value. They didn't hoard their experience. They passed it on. They broke down barriers, not just for themselves, but for those who came after them. Carrie didn't just look up to them, she modeled them. Their example gave her the courage to rise, and today, she is that person for others. She has transitioned through various roles within the industry and is now a financial services manager. I connected with her at the end of that same night, that event. We connected, we chatted, and I learned so much more about her. And she candidly shared something with me. She said that her ultimate goal is to become a general manager in the automotive zone of influence. And I believe, and I know she will get there. As leadership guru John Maxwell said, the true measure of a leader is not how many followers they have, but how many leaders they create. That quote has never felt more real than in that moment, that night at that event. What those women did for Carrie is something every leader is capable of doing, including you, my fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. Whether in corporate boardrooms or communities like Toastmasters, we all have the power to add value to someone else's life. When I think about this kind of leadership, I also think of Donna Henry, a mentor who changed the way I see leadership altogether. Donna didn't just delegate tasks or set goals. She believed in people. She believed in me. She entrusted me with meaningful projects that challenged me to grow. And every step of the way, she was there, not micromanaging, but encouraging, guiding, and stretching me beyond what I thought I could do. She often shared leadership nuggets But in particular, one always stuck with me. She said, Nicole, let your work speak for itself. That one sentence shifted the way I showed up every day, not just professionally, but personally. It reminded me that leadership isn't about proving your worth. It's about doing meaningful work that lifts others up. Donna is the kind of leader who is genuinely invested in the growth and development of those around her. Her support, her belief, her example, it added value to my journey, and it made me want to do the same for others. I am pleased to say that her leadership didn't just shape my skills. Nope. It shaped my mindset. It also reminded me that leadership isn't just what you do. It's who you are to the people you lead. A study published in the Harvard Business Review found that employees who feel their leaders are genuinely invested in their growth are 8 times more likely to stay and 5 times more engaged in their roles. That's the power of value-added leadership. It builds loyalty, trust, and long-term results. So let me ask you, who made you believe in yourself before you had the confidence to do it on your own? I'll give you a second or two to think about that. Who made you believe in yourself before you had the confidence to do it on your own? I even charge you to write down those names or that name, because gratitude goes a far way. I hope you let them know. And I have another question. It's very important. Who are you nurturing in your own leadership journey? Think about that for a few seconds. Because value-added leadership isn't about titles or talent. It's about intentionality, humility, and impact. Ladies and gentlemen, now that you know that adding value is the what of leadership, guess what? Integrity is the how. Integrity is the engine behind value-based leadership. It is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. But in leadership, it's more than just honesty. It's about consistency between your values, your words, and your actions. The leaders who add value and add the most value are not necessarily the loudest in the room. They're the ones who consistently show up, follow through, and lead with their principles. And their principles create trust. In fact, leaders who lead with integrity naturally add value because their leadership is dependable. They look after the needs of those they lead, and others can count on them to be responsible. It's like a bridge. Let me take you to those bridges that you would have walked across. When you walk across a bridge, I know you don't stop to think about its structural integrity. You don't check every plank. You simply trust it and you go across. That's what integrity does in leadership. It allows people to move forward with confidence. It holds weight. It carries people, and it connects vision with trust. That's the kind of leadership that leaves a mark. And I've seen this kind of leadership firsthand right here at Leadership Speak. Our president and founder, Bram Mamone, our Toastmaster of the day, who has decided to contribute so suddenly, stepped up. He's one of the clearest examples of value-based leadership rooted in integrity. He's deeply invested in developing the legacy of this club. He's not just thinking about the next meeting, he's thinking about the future leaders of this club, the ones who will carry it forward. That kind of long-term thinking takes integrity. It's not driven by ego or accolade. It's driven by impact. Bram is focused on building a foundation strong enough to support others after his own leadership term is over. We have seen this every day. We have seen it in our coaching sessions, in our various training sessions, even how we communicate with each other and the feedback and value he gives us. And that's what integrity does. It multiplies value beyond self. I came across a research by the Center of Creative Leadership. Their findings shows that integrity ranks among the top traits most admired in leaders, and it directly correlates with team trust, engagement, and long-term success. And what's powerful about leaders like Bram is that they don't just tell us what leadership should look like. They model it. And with modeling comes the ripple effect. Others in turn experience the impact of their value-added leadership. When a leader leads with integrity and commits to adding value to others, something powerful happens. It multiplies. As I said, it's the ripple effect. How many of you have ever tossed a stone in a still water? If you haven't tried, you'll see that the initial splash may seem small, but the ripple keeps spreading, reaching farther than we imagined. That's what value-adding leadership does. It leaves an impact not just on one person in front of you, but on everyone that you will go on to lead. Now, let me take you back to Carrie Long, the young woman who wanted to break into the automotive industry. 2 women believed in her. Do you remember? Of course. They supported her. They opened the door that changed her life. And now, what is she doing? She's paying it forward. She's mentoring other women in the field, breaking barriers, showing them that's what's possible because someone did it for her. Someone modeled the way with integrity. That's the ripple effect. And let's take you back to Jonna, my mentor. Because she added value to me, I've carried that mindset forward. I've mentored others. I've supported team members. I've made it my mission to lead in a way that helps people grow. That ripple started with her, but it's moving outward through me and through the people I now influence. Even here at Leadership Speak, the legacy that Bram Memone is building is creating a ripple effect. The legacy that you are contributing, they are creating a ripple effect. By investing in the next generation of leaders, Bram is planting seeds for the future. And the leaders who rise up in this club will one day inspire and develop others in their workplaces, their communities, and beyond. The true measure of a leader is not just in what they achieve, but in what they ignite in others. And the most powerful leaders, they are not just focused on their own rise. They are builders of people. They are the bridge makers. And the impact they leave behind is measured in legacies, not likes. So, if you have ever wondered whether your words of encouragement mattered, if your investment in someone's development made a difference, ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you, it does. It did. Because when you lead by adding value, your influence doesn't end with you. Now, we know that the core of leadership is adding value. I know you all know now. And it's fueled by integrity, which results in a ripple effect. So how do we practice value-added leadership? By now, you have heard stories of how leaders like Donna and Bram create lasting impact, not just by doing their jobs, but by intentionally adding value to others. And I know you're introspecting about how you add value to others as leaders. But here's the part that matters most. You don't need a title to lead like that. Leadership isn't about position, it's about posture. You can be a team member, a mentor, a friend, a Toastmaster. Whatever your role is right now, you can lead by adding value. So now what does it look like in practice? I am going to share with you 3 simple ways you can start. And I would love you to write these three ways down or drop them in the chat. First, be present and attentive. Sometimes the greatest value you can add is simply being fully present, listening without bias, paying attention to people's needs, asking someone how they're doing, and be genuine about it. When people feel seen and heard, they feel valued, and that creates space for growth and openness. Now I move on to number 2. ETA. No, don't write that. Empower through encouragement. Words are powerful tools of leadership. A simple word of encouragement can spark confidence. A well-placed compliment can inspire excellence. A good leader always uplifts others with their words, and you can do the same. Donna always said to me, "You are a star." Or she would shout from the other side of the room when I'm inundated with the projects that she assigned me with. She said, "You will shine." Third, and not least, share what you know. You don't have to be an expert to add value to someone. You just need to be willing to share, whether it's offering advice, sharing lessons learned, or connecting someone with a resource. You're building a bridge. Just like the woman who mentored Carrie, just like Bram does in our club. And here's the reality. You won't always see the ripple effect of your leadership immediately, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. As the late poet Maya Angelou so beautifully reminds us, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And by the way, this is one of my favorite quotes of all time. So, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, I want you to choose significance. Be intentional. Be the kind of leader whose value is felt long after the moment has passed. And as you leave here today, I invite you to look at leadership through a new lens. Not just as a title, but as a purpose. Not just as influence, but as intentional impact. If the true measure of a leader is how much value they add to others, then let that be the legacy you leave. I will let it be the legacy I leave. In every meeting, in every moment, and in every conversation. Madam, Mr. Toastmaster, over to you.
Thank you. We learned leaders add value by being present and attentive. Words are powerful tools of leadership. Sometimes you never know the effect you're having on people. Those ripple effects when you connect and inspire people and how you build them up. You have to be intentional. You have to know where your words land, where your leadership lands, how you're landing with people. That is the impact you're making with other human beings, especially in a Toastmasters club. Dear guests, now that you've heard our education speaker, you know the theme, you've heard so far quite a bit about our club. Please post, Irene, if you can post, you're so quick, Irene. Thank you so much. So Irene has just posted the guest book again. Dear leaders, our guests who are leaders here without title, or you may have a title in your districts, please complete the guest book. Now we have about a few guests already have signed in and have expressed interest in joining, which is wow, amazing. So those of you, the rest of you who are here, who are in this meeting and are thinking about joining or just leaving us a comment or a remark about our meeting so far, do so. Of course, you'll have the opportunity as well towards the end and at the middle of the meeting as well. Thank you very much for posting the agenda, Hannah. Now that you heard the education speaker, let's go on to our slate of speakers. And we have 5 speakers today. That's amazing. It's going to be a long meeting. Be prepared. And our very first, if I can get my technology right here, there we go. So our very first speaker is a very good friend of mine. He was the mastermind behind Leadership Speak, a charter member, Tony Bratschitsch. And Tony is the past District 86 governor. And he lives down in the valley, but we don't look down upon him. Tony, how's it out in the valley today?
Oh, you know, about being in the valley, Brom, everything is always looking up.
There's always something to look up to, but we don't look down on you.
Oh, no.
Well, welcome, Tony. And your evaluator today is, if I'll get my agenda here, your evaluator today is Elena Constantino, I believe. Elena, how are you? And how's Cyprus today?
Good afternoon. Amazing. I just came back from a long walk with the Toastmaster visiting from Israel because our district director is visiting from Athens. Our division director. So it's been 3 days of celebrating Toastmasters.
Were you walking on the beach?
No, in the forest.
In the forest.
Yeah.
And what are you going to be doing today for Tony?
I will be supporting Tony as he contributes to the discussion with a speech from the Persuasive Influence Pathway. This is an icebreaker of length 4 to 6 minutes, titled Being Persuasive in a Timely Way. Tony was very proactive in sending me things that he wanted me to pay particular attention to, but I will not have any spoilers, so I will not give it away. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you, Elena. Ladies and gentlemen, our past district director of District 86, he recently got his lawyer's certification. That's Tony Bratschitsch, and he's studying his master's degree, and then he will be studying the master's of law as well. This guy is a study maniac, a lifelong learner. What can I say? And an amazing support personally to me and to the club. Tony Bratschitsch, being persuasive in a timely manner. Being persuasive in a timely manner, Tony Bratschitsch.
Thank you. It's a fact of life that we must deal with confrontations. And that's why I think it's called confrontation. Con as in contrary, fron as in front to front or front and center, and tation as in situation. Now, all of us must deal with confrontations in everyday life, of course, in our workplaces, our homes, and our social circles. And myself, I've often been in that situation, just like you. In my case, you'd be in a courtroom, a boardroom, as a district parliamentarian right now, as a senior executive with the Royal Canadian Legion, in the past as a captain of a hockey team, and in the past as a Toastmaster District 86 governor. And you have your own experiences too. So we all have these experiences. How can we be persuasive in a confrontation? That's the question. How can we contribute value to get the best possible outcome in a confrontation? Let's have a purpose to this. I found there's a simple formula that quite often works. It's not just what you say, and it's not just how you say it, but I think most importantly, it's when you say it. We can successfully be persuasive if we manage a confrontation with patience, with practice, and with timing. So ultimately, it's a combination of critical analysis, active listening, providing feedback. I'm going to use a personal story as an example. A while ago, I was called into a customer's confrontational meeting where they had 8 managers from a hospital. Those men and women were so angry. Just imagine veins protruding from their foreheads and necks. And you can't blame them, because my company's technicians walked off the job. And as a result, surgeries were canceled. These managers, they stood up one at a time and made their pain known to me. Emotion fed emotion, fed emotion. It was emotional, obviously. Now, during that time, this is not easy, I kept quiet, paid attention, and I waited until they all finished. And after they spoke, I stood up front and center and spoke. I said, everything said so far in this meeting is correct. Our technicians did walk off the job, and as a result, your surgeries were canceled. But there's another side to this story. Now, generally, we all know that people love stories. However, these managers were not about to like what I was going to tell them. I explained. The general contractor in charge of the renovations being made to your hospital removed my company's technicians from the designated work site onto a public street, right beside your hospital's designated smoking zone, where they had to mix dangerous chemicals. And obviously, the fumes could easily be ignited from the smoking zone, which would have caused a fire or an explosion with obviously bad consequences, perhaps injuries and death. Our technicians, trained in risk assessment, tried to contact the general contractor, Paul, who's right here, who they couldn't find. He did not answer their phone calls or texts or emails. So after a while, as per protocol and their training, the technicians called our office and we told them to leave. Now, if there was a fire or an explosion, every person in this room right now would have had to share some liability for criminal negligence and carry that guilty conscience for the rest of your lives. Now, it was evident to all of them that, yeah, that's a problem. There's another side to the story. Susan, the senior manager, then said to me, Tony, thank you for explaining your side of the story. We're sorry for this misunderstanding. We're good. She tilted her head towards the door, which meant I had to leave. So once again, I got kicked out of the meeting. It's time for a good reason. Now, we've all been there. We've all have had to deal with confrontations where someone blames someone else for the problems they cause. And too often they get away with it. This is reality. This is life. It's another fact of life that justice does not always align with fairness. Too often, faulty decisions are made in the courtrooms, the boardrooms, and even in our homes. We need to contribute value to the best possible outcome in the confrontation. Therefore, I suggest these takeaways for your consideration. When dealing with confrontations, your best use of emotional intelligence is intelligence without the emotion. In other words, let other people express their emotions, let them get out in the open. And then meanwhile, we stay quiet, pay attention, and wait until they're finished. That way, they will be more open to thinking slowly and rationally. In conclusion, to be persuasive in confrontations that we experience in real life, it's not just what we say, it's not just how we say it, but quite often, most importantly, it's when we say it. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tony. I was just putting a note in the chat about what you just said, something very, very important, which is as somebody who is facing confrontation, and now you are a lawyer, so you know much more than anyone else how to face confrontations, because in the courtroom or in the people that you deal with every day, you have to listen very intently and just stay calm. And it is that staying calmness that is critical. And when you stay calm and just listen, what are we doing? But adding a tremendous amount of value. And then that gives us leverage to persuade and sway the other person, because now they've spent their emotion. Thank you, Tony, for such a wonderful lesson in persuasion and how to listen intently. Our next speaker is from Angola, Africa, Luciano Joao, my good friend Luciano. We can spotlight Luciano here for us. Hey, Luciano, how are you?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing amazing. Are you on an oil platform today?
No, actually, today I'm at home, so enjoying my time off.
Luciano here works on an oil platform. So for 1 month, he's on the oil platform, and for 1 month at home. Isn't that an incredible lifestyle? I don't know how he can do that, but he does that. And his evaluator today is Alvin Abrar, all the way from Indonesia. Alvin, let's have Alvin here. Madam Zoom Master. We'll wait for Alvin to come along. Can we find Alvin? Alvin, if you can unmute yourself. There.
Yeah.
Hey, Alvin.
Hey, Bram. Yes.
Now, it is like 10 o'clock at night. Are you awake to do this evaluation?
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Of course.
Just
That's why
arrived
you're
in my
here.
house.
This is Leadership Speak. We are always present intentionally. Over to you, Alvin. What are you doing today?
Right. So today I will evaluate Luciano's speech on Level 5, Project 1, Leadership Development Pathway. The purpose of this project is for Luciano to practice planning, organizing, leading, and implementing an event. The purpose of this speech is for Luciano to share his experience on planning, organizing, leading, and implementing an event. Especially, Luciano requests me to pay attention more into his vocal variety and use of pauses to emphasize the message. Thank you. Back to Toastmaster of the meeting.
Alvin, thank you very much. We look forward to your evaluation later on. Luciano Joao, the project of life. The project of life, Luciano Joao. Over to you.
Life is the constant struggle to keep death at a respectable distance. Life is the constant struggle to keep death at a respectable distance. That's one of the statements that Jim Rohn made in one of his speeches. I was listening to it. It got me intrigued. I said, is that true? That's the definition of life, where we have to continuously struggle to keep death at a respectable distance. We don't want death to come near us. I thought about it. Is that true? I analyzed it, and I looked at it from first principle. Basic. Is that true? To my amazement, it was true at the end of the day, because we are born, we live, and then we die. At the end of the day, you're born, you live, and you die. What happens in that space is you want to live as long as possible. And one thing is certain when you are born. Do you know what that is? The one thing that is certain, you can never get away from it. It's death. We can never get away from death. In the past, it was said that there were two items that we could not get away from it: taxes and death. But now we've seen that people that can get away with taxes avoid paying taxes, but you can never get away from death. So at the end of the day, what you have to do is keep death at a respectable distance. And within that distance, what do you have? You have life. That's between when you're born and when you die. In that space, you have life. That's where you have your project of life. The project that you manage, you organize, you plan, and you implement. Everything is with you. That's the space where you contribute to the world. But before contributing to the world, you have to contribute towards yourself, your development. You can only give what you have. As it's normally said, you can only give love if you know how love is. If you love yourself, then you learn you can give love. So it's extremely important. One thing that I decided is to work on my project of life. Not short term, but long term, 5, 10 years. There's something that I really struggled with for a long time. How to reach my true potential. I always struggle with that because I knew when I was working at the end of the year, I got evaluations where I said, I'm better than this. But this evaluation is not a true reflection of what my capabilities are. But then there is that point. How do you actually show your true potential so the world can see that? That's where you have your project of life, where you work on yourself. It can either be professional or personal, but you decide, you work on those particular aspects. For myself, I decided to work on my development because I said, the world is not seeing the true potential, the true capability of Luciano. So I need to show that to the world. What did I do in order for the world to see that? That was specifically my contribution to the world. Before contributing to the world, I had to contribute to myself, where I needed to find my voice. Once I found my voice, I could share that with the world. And in one particular area was in public speaking. I needed to speak better. I needed to lead meetings at work. I need to lead meetings within my family. So what did I do in order to improve that? Because I needed to reach my potential. I said, let me join Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters, and it really helped me to find my voice. And it was one of my projects that I decided to work on my project of life. I gave myself 5 to 10 years where I had to improve. And one of the areas was public speaking. And I've been working at it for 9 years now, and I'm reaping the benefits. I can now contribute to the world. I can help others find their voice, because once you find your voice, then you can contribute to the world. I found my voice when it came to that. So that was in a professional aspect. In a personal aspect, I needed to get in shape. I was overweight. As Bram already mentioned, I worked offshore. I came with a couple of kgs over the scale. So I had to work, I had to be in shape. So I started training, I started running. First, I started running every Saturday and every Sunday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I was running, run 1K, 2Ks, and then stop. I continuously was working on that, and I improved where I could run 5, 6K without stopping. I worked on that, and at the end of the day, I was in a place where I could run 10Ks, 21Ks, 30Ks, but I worked on that project of life. That was my project. I gave myself that 5, 10 years where I improved. By improving in getting in shape, that aspect, I've gained more energy, more mental toughness, where that plays a factor in how I work. I go to the workplace. My job is very mentally tough, and I have to work on that. And then working on that physical aspect helps me to build the mental toughness. And that's extremely important. That's extremely important. And as one moves on in life, you will always have the responsibility to identify your projects, implement those projects, lead them, and see the results. And that's your project of life, where you decide where you need to improve in order to contribute to the world so the world can be a better place. And that's extremely important. I found my place where I could work on my project of life and improve. And that was extremely important. That's a project where you do all those specific roles. Those are not short-term projects, but long-term projects. By the end of the day, you have the full responsibility of your project of life. And the way you work on it determines your outcome. Thank you very much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Luciano, your life is a creative project, and you better be a great project manager of your own life. When you improve your life, you can improve the world. Amazing. Wonder where you got all that from. Thank you for engaging in your own education and taking yourself to the next level and being in the driving seat. You'll do amazing things, Luciano. I know that. Your commitment is like gold. Our next speaker, Sandra Valks. Now, Sandra lives almost 200 kilometers from me. I believe it's somewhere in Belleville. So that's like way out in Ontario, almost in Quebec. Almost, not quite. From where I'm, that's how it looks, Sandra. So how's the weather in Belleville, by the way? And I've got your introduction. I will introduce you, of course. But how is it out there where you are?
Oh, I'm still in my winter shirts, but I'm and a little cool. But I'm thinking spring might be coming. I was singing this morning, well, April showers will come your way, but they're bringing flowers that bloom in May. So I'm waiting for spring.
And Sandra is a great singer. So if you want to hear Sandra sing, after we've adjourned, Sandra can sing all her heart out. Our evaluator today is going to be Holmes Tang. Holmes, all the way from Singapore. Holmes, over to you. And how's it in Singapore?
Thank you, Bram. Hi, Bram. Hi, Sandra. It's great. It's great here in Singapore. Warm, sunny every single day throughout, most of the time throughout the year, except for some rainy days.
What are you doing today for Sandra?
I'm serving as Sandra's prepared speech evaluator, and she's doing her dynamic leadership level 2 project on understanding her leadership style. What is amazing about Sandra is that as an experienced Toastmaster, she has actually done this style, this project multiple times. Yet, she's still discovering things about her leadership. A true role model for us, that leadership grows with the individual. Let me go to the project purpose and the speech purpose now. The purpose of this project is for the member to identify their primary leadership style or styles, perhaps for experienced leaders. Second, the purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspects of their primary leadership style or discuss leadership styles in general. I've spoken to Sandra and I looked at the script. It's a very exciting speech coming ahead. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. For those of our guests who are wondering why the evaluator knows what Sandra is going to do today, is evaluators and speakers are partners and they need to communicate before the meeting to understand each other's positioners, where they're coming from. Let me introduce to you a paradox in our club and in her own life, and a paradox because she is the compassionate queen of straight talk. That is a paradox, and we'll see why. So our compassionate queen of straight talk was always a leader. I'm reading her introduction here because I didn't get it before and I haven't memorized it. I just got it as I know at last minute I'm here. Sandra believes that we are all leaders because we create our own lives. The challenge is, are we creating it on purpose? A leader takes ownership of their own lives and thus creates the life they choose to live. Sandra is asking, are we leading on purpose or by chance? Dear Toastmasters and guests, help me welcome our own straight talker, Sandra Valks, distinguished Toastmaster, as she explores her own leadership style with Here's How It Goes, Here's How It Goes, Sandra Valks.
Andrea, stop it. Sit still. Now see what a mess you've made. I was tired. I was frustrated and feeling anxious and overwhelmed, and I shouted back, scolding that little baby, 1 year old, spilling her milk at her high chair. Guess what? I was leading okay, by chance, stumbling and learning because no one gave me the book on being a new mom. Immediately, I sat down to my own meal and over went the glass of water. Instant lesson I never forgot. Me as a child, I wanted to sing and dance, to laugh and play, and then my societal ancestry went and embedded in me direct, authoritative, bureaucratic teachings, as in children are to be seen and not heard. Speak up, child. Sit down, child. Be quiet, child. So it was natural that as a young teacher, only 20 years old, I went fresh out of Teachers College and directed my little 40 students crisply and directly. Now let's move on many years later to prison, where I employed the innovative race setting me, setting up and directing how to be a Toastmaster club. It takes direct direction. Do this, do this, do this, do this. This works here, this works here, this works here. Quote from Eric, an inmate. I began going to Toastmasters as a shy chap that tried to hide in a corner to not be seen or heard. I literally did not want to get the attention of anyone. So Eric came up to me at his first meeting during coffee break, explaining he was hard of hearing, he was shy, and he was having trouble hearing. He would just observe. In my most bureaucratic style, I said, you are responsible for your hearing, not me, not anyone else. If you're going to be here, I expect you to find a chair in the front where you can hear. And if you still can't hear, I then expect you to let the speaker know to speak up. Eric laughs with me today as I ask, so how long did it take for you to get away from your excuses. And he now replies, I think it lasted that one meeting. It was pretty instant. Another inmate asked me where I got the courage to be in prison. I was surprised. I don't think about it. Why should I need courage? Well, he said, knowing what I know now, this is his quote, if I were out there, I would not be coming in here. You do realize there are some in this room that do everything they would need to get what they wanted. Yeah, I felt that more inmates loved me and would protect me. So when I asked another inmate a little bit later about this courage and my safety, he said, no, we're afraid of you. I do believe that sometimes my authoritative style bursts through. Then the world famous fiddler, violinist, inmate musician wrote me a testimonial. And here's what he wrote. Her consistently warm, fun-loving manner gives her added cachet. And by the way of contrast, a sort of gravitas when it comes to address more serious matters. Well, those more serious matters were directed at him personally during the meeting where he and his sidekick were deriding one of the inmates that was doing the grammarian role. And I said, there's no place to take anyone off to a private talk, so I'll deal with you right here in the front of this room with all of your inmates here. And I did. This was the gravitas. Now, I expect that might have been a little bureaucratic. My final story here is from Andy Congligliario. He has quite a name, Conigliario. He's a top CEO, and he's now a coach to other top CEOs. And we met very briefly in a breakout room just this week, 3 strangers for 9 minutes for a discussion about referrals. We were back in the same room of 3 to brainstorm who we might give a referral to this week. And as soon as we were settled and unmuted, he said, Sandra, I want to give you a referral. What? We just met. Quote, when he sent me the referral, here's what he wrote. Meeting Sandra, my admitted first thought was that I was meeting a pink-haired older woman. Then she spoke. She's not a pink-haired older woman. She's a pink-haired powerhouse who spoke through with strength and without even knowing me, saw me and offered a creative, insightful, and altogether useful perspective for me to grow my business. I was gratefully blown away because he recognized my innovative style. Well, in preparation for this speech, you already know that Holmes and I spoke, and he was curious. He thought, I don't know, Sandra, I think you're going down communication style. Yeah, he spurred me into deeper thought. Where do I go with this? Then I realized that as a servant leader, even compassion and kindness have their boundaries that require us to each step in with leadership required of the moment, of that particular circumstance. But where do I live? I embrace those top 3 styles of mine: democratic, coaching, altruistic. In closing, I live and lead as my true inner me, using compassion, clarity, and integrity. I don't believe that leadership can be isolated from the communication. We become that one integrated being. Claiming my compassionate straight talk blends into my leadership style of serving others to be their best selves, best known as servant leadership. How about you? Are you flexible? Do you lead others recognizing their style? I invite you today to reflect on you and your style, because knowing yourself is transformational. You may even greet that little kitten inside and find out there's a lion. Ram?
Leadership cannot be isolated from communication. How well put together. Absolutely great insight. When Toastmasters join in a community club, they can figure out what this leadership is all about. But as they begin to develop their speaking, at the community level, brand new Toastmasters, and their speaking improves and they're able to reach out to audience and make a difference, they begin to realize that they are speaking as leaders because they are influencing, inspiring, motivating, persuading, informing, or even entertaining. Sandra, thank you very much for letting us know your leadership style and how it's not different from communication. Our next speaker. So for the guests here, our next speaker on the agenda was supposed to be Angela Brown. She's not going to be here either today because of a family emergency. And so we will move on to Irene Sadia, a very good friend of mine from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm from Kenya, so I'll speak a little Swahili to her. Habari yako, Irene?
Mzuri, Bram. Habari yako?
Ni mzuri tu, niko baridi hapo.
Haya, hata sisi baridi imeanza kuingia kidogo.
So what we said is, hi, how are you? It's very cold here. And she says it's very cold in Nairobi as well. Ladies and gentlemen, our evaluator today is Tony Bratschitsch, our district governor. And you've heard him already speak with persuasion. Tony, what are you doing for Irene today?
Yeah, thank you. Irene has exchanged information with me about her wants and needs for this presentation. She is presenting in the pathway of dynamic leadership. She's at level 3, project 2, which is connect with storytelling. Irene emphasized something that I've tried to keep on top myself. I'm sure we all wish to do. And that is maintaining a consistent energy level, especially at the end of the presentation, so we don't peter off. So Irene has asked myself, and of course the rest of us, to kind of look out for that. Well, Irene, let it rip. Thank you, Toastmaster, or of the day.
Thank you, Tony. Irene is a rising leader in Leadership Speak. She is somebody who sort of stands out in things that she does. Please help me welcome Irene Sadia. Finding My Voice. Finding My Voice, Irene Sadia.
Sister, in law, what did you do to this girl? Irene doesn't talk anymore. What does he mean Irene doesn't talk anymore? Haven't I just come to greet him? Now, these are some of the comments I would hear when relatives and family friends came to visit. So they were talking to my mom and asking either as a sister or as an in-law. I did not like that because I have just said hi. And as they looked at the puzzle on my face or the teenage strange look, they would relish reminding me of what I did as a younger girl. I would jump from one chair to the next and to the next. And my mother's horrified look would not deter me. In fact, I would say, I didn't step on the guests. But I remembered that made me feel less than. They mean I don't talk. What happened to my voice? Would I find it? Teenage, college years passed, and I landed this job that I enjoyed going to, had a great relationship with my boss, and that relationship was bliss until he called me to his office to explain an issue. So after mastering all the English language, I know all the grammar I could put together. When I got to the end of that conversation, he'd be like, what are you saying? Explain clearly. Repeat. Remember the teenage feeling of less than? Would I ever find my voice? All that emotion would come back, flooding and I wondered, would I find my voice? I wonder, you who's listening to me, have you ever felt less than because of something somebody said? You felt like you could not achieve a goal, could not achieve a task? If yes, I hear you. I feel you. 3.5 years ago, fast forward, a colleague calls me in the morning and says, Irene, what are you doing? I'm like, working. And she says, this afternoon, I want you to join a meeting. It will be worth it. I tried to get some information from her. She wouldn't say. She just said, show up. So, of course, the meeting link was shared. And the organizers of the meeting were chartering a Toastmasters club. 10 days later, so after explaining, they told us they would come up with the speakers and the roll ticket. So 10 days later, Toastmasters meeting was on. And as I watched them, I knew I would just sit quietly behind the scenes. I would not take up any role here. Me to talk. Remember, I lost my voice. So of course there were mentors and I was encouraged. And every time I was asked to deliver a speech, I'd be like, I'm still learning. Anyway, the learning had to come to an end. And I did deliver my icebreaker speech. It wasn't as bad as I thought. But I had made a mental note. I would not evaluate. I would not take up any Toastmaster of the Day role. Fast forward. I evaluate. I have been a Toastmaster of the Day several times. Has it been easy? Certainly not. There are days I would rather not show up. But I have been encouraged. There are many people who have contributed to my growth. And so it is up to me to just reciprocate. There is somebody who is delivering an icebreaker speech that I can contribute to their journey as well as others have contributed to my journey. And as I think about the comments from my family and my boss about not speaking clearly and communicating effectively, I remember a Charles Spurgeon quote that says, I have learned to kiss the waves that throw me against the rock of ages, because it is those challenges that have brought me where I am today. As I conclude, I wonder, do you feel like there is something you'd like to say and sometimes the words fail you? Or somebody said you couldn't do it, or you didn't do it well enough, and it made you feel less than? I wonder. I'd like to encourage you. Find that mentor who would walk alongside you, who would encourage you when you feel like you don't have the energy yourself, who would show you the way as they follow the way themselves. Margaret Atwood says that a voice is a human gift. It should be cherished and used to utter fully human speech as possible. Powerlessness and silence go together. It took me a long time to develop a voice. And now that I have it, I am not going to be silent. Back to you, Toastmaster.
And you shall not be silent, ever. You have learned to kiss the waves that break on the rocks, or something like that, paraphrasing it. Irene, that was the icing on the cake, that particular quote. And if you can put that full quote back in the chat for us, that'd be great. It was just so inspiring, for me at least. Thank you, Irene. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the speakers have finished doing their presentations, and we will be moving into the next segment. Before I do that, I will ask Rana to post the timers report in the chat for us. And I will ask the Zoom master to launch the poll for the best effort speaker. Madam Zoom master, please launch the poll. And while that is happening, ladies and gentlemen, and you can see that the poll has been launched. You can scroll down because there's quite a number of speakers. If you scroll down, you will actually find every one of them, if you can see all of them. So please do scroll down. Thank you, Bindu, for that. And thank you, Rana, for the timings of the speakers. And I can see that most speakers did very, very well. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask the guests once more, how did you find the presentations? And did you find that this meeting, how it's being run with effective technology, leadership skills, and the service that we provide? How do you think this meeting is being run? Put your comments in the chat if you don't want to sign the guest book. But the guest book is right now being posted. Irene, thank you so much. She'll be posting that in the chat any second now, the link again for our guests. So while the polls are going on, the time is there, and for our guests, we have the link for the guest book in the chat now. Thank you, Irene. Ladies and gentlemen, I will, of course, call on my very good friend. She is my Charlie's Angel. One day I will let you know why and how. Gerda Felix, my best friend in Toastmasters. Gerda, welcome.
Hello, Bram. Or should I say hello,
We'll
Charlie?
wait for you to be spotlighted, but go ahead, tell me. Spotlight me as well for a second there, Bindu. There we go. So, Gerda, it's such a just yesterday I was I sort of sent you a screenshot from 4 years ago where I was the Toastmaster of the day and you were the GE, I believe. 4 years ago, not in Leadership Speak, but because leadership, no, that was actually almost 5 years ago. Leadership Speak is only 3 years ago, 3 years old. So that was in another club, which we, Gerda and me and a couple of other Charlie's Angels took it to one of the top clubs globally. Gerda, it's such a pleasure to have you in this club. It's just amazing.
Thank you, Bram.
Thank you so much for being here. Over to you, Gerda.
Thank you. Thank you, Bram. And greetings, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Today, or now, it is our time, my team and I, to bring our own contribution to the meeting. This is the time of evaluation. The evaluation portion of the meeting is very important. It is important for all of us to become better. And I would like to repeat the words of Nicole Whyte, because as we add value, this is what you will see, that we will be present and attentive, we will empower through encouragement, and we will share what we know. As your general evaluator this morning, please allow me to share the process of evaluation. It is broken down in 3 parts. First, I will be introducing our evaluators to present their evaluations of the speakers. Second, I will be introducing our role players to provide us with their reports. And third, I will be giving you an overall evaluation of the meeting in its entirety. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Because I want to know that I am speaking to you and you are connecting with me.
We are.
It is time to start. And I will call on our first evaluator. And our first evaluator is Sabnam Syed, who is evaluating the toast done by Rana and Sila. Please help me welcome Sabnam Syed.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator, President, fellow Toastmasters, and specifically Toastmaster Irene Arcila. Good evening from my side of the world. For me, a toast serves a purpose like it unifies the group, acknowledges the entire event, and it also normally words that are commonly important for that group. Now, Toastmaster Renan's toast was very important today because it was in cognizance with the theme of today's meeting and also the theme of the group, the club as well. There were so many highlights for me in his toast today, some of them being he was calm and composed throughout. He spoke with pauses wherever they were required. He spoke very efficiently on communication, leadership, how leadership adds value. Then in that toast also he had a personal anecdote as in how leadership or how being emotionally intelligent in times when we have organizations struggling how to lay off people and during those reshuffle period, how it helped him and how not only it helped him grow but also how it helped him manage the situation. Then he later on also shed some light on how sympathy and empathy also helped him. Now, there were certain things that I would like to add, or certain things that would help him. Is that when you're giving a toast, always use a darker glass because you're having a background. For example, a white glass, you're not even able to see right now. I'm having a white mug in my hand. And now, if you have something darker, it is visible. So use something darker. Secondly, the end of your words are not clear. You were having pauses, but try completing your words. And thirdly, have some expressions because your toast was very powerful. So we would have loved if you had those expressions also on your face. So overall, very good effort. Just use a darker glass for your toast and have some expressions on your face. It will really help. All the best and over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sabnam. You have, of course, at the end, especially in your evaluation, you had wrap it up and gave us a summary, which is very important because when we know in evaluation, if we were to go to a contest, this is the part where it is at least, I think, 15 points. So well done on that. And now it is my turn to call the evaluator for our Toastmaster of the day. A great supporter, a constant learner, and a leader in action. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Hannah Schmidt.
Thank you very much, Kara, Toastmasters and friends, and especially Bram. Due to unforeseen circumstances in Turkey, the assigned Toastmaster could not fulfill their duties, and you, as a self-directed leader, stepped in to take charge of this prestigious leadership. Thank you very much for that. I value your thoughts on the meeting of the theme in light of today's theme. Our leaders, you at the forefront, add value by building relationships with members and guests. They offer a friendly welcome that makes them feel at home during leadership speak. All exemplary. Requesting that the guest book be signed, be posted. Hey, this speaks their interest in learning more about leadership speak, a club for self-directed leaders. introducing the speakers and engaging them with a light conversation before they start speaking. That helps break the ice and reduce their tension. I could see the tension full of their faces, especially at Sandra. I was watching you. Your feedback afterwards to all the speakers, yet particularly after Renan's well-constructed toast, is appreciated. Bram, to conclude, I want to emphasize what I mentioned at the beginning. I truly appreciate your willingness to step in at the last minute. The disclaimer was already read or had been read, and you stepped in. Thank you very much for that dedication. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Hannah. Well shared, your evaluation. You brought on to the spotlight the fact that Bram stepped up and how he did this for the club. And thank you for mentioning this. Now I would like to call on the evaluator for Nicole Whyte. When I think of Rozy and Rana, I think, of course, of gourmet coffee. But it's more than that. When I think of Rozy, I think of the fact, her voice, the way she delivers when she speaks, whether when she is a speaker or an evaluator. So for me, I'm always looking forward to hear what she has to say. Please help me welcome our next evaluator, Rozy Rana.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. The measure of a leader is not the number of people who serve them, but really the number of people they serve. Today, Nicole Whyte's presentation truly embodied this. What an inspiring presentation. And beyond its inspiring, it was a treasure trove of leadership wisdom. Nicole had a very clear message, which was that at the heart of leadership, at the heart of authentic leadership, if I may say, is the value that a leader adds, the impact the leader creates, the influence, the ripple effect, and ultimately the legacy that's created. Nicole had beautiful, powerful stage presence. Dressed in a proud blue, she took center stage. She stood there. She used beautiful hand gestures. They were solid. They were purposeful. They were not, just random or ad hoc. They were aligned with her message. And, she had like purposeful leadership type gestures. I truly liked that. As she delivered her powerful nuggets, it was evident she had really researched this speech. So it was a balance of personal passion and credible research, because she cited sources like the Harvard Business Review, the Center for Creative Research, John Maxwell, Maya Angelou, quotes from people that are linked with leadership. So everything she was telling us came through as credible, and yet she had the passion. So it was beautifully balanced. She excelled in doing this at storytelling, because when you give information and then you tell stories, you truly deliver the point more impactfully. From Carrie, I think it was, to Donna, and of course our very own Bram. Those examples, and Bram especially, who we know firsthand, brought home her message and made it truly impactful. The language was vivid, that stone into the river, the ripple effect that it creates, that analogy was very powerful. So while it was an excellent presentation, let me try and see what Nicole could have done better, or how it could be elevated. First, well, I'll give two recommendations. One was she posed powerful, deep, provoking questions. She asked us, so she made us reflect on people who had had an impact on us and made us more confident as leaders before we believed in ourselves. And she said over and over again, I'll give you a moment to reflect on that. But she didn't give us that moment. Nicole, I would have liked you to go silent at that stage, not just say, I will give you the time. Go silent. That would have really added power because we would have stopped to reflect who has impacted us, who have we impacted. Secondly, you had a powerful background, but you could have used it dynamic. I mean, use it to your advantage. The words were there, but, refer to them, talk about them. But that said, in summary, powerful presentation, clear nuggets, well-researched, powerful presence. If only you can pause, give us silence so that we can truly reflect. And secondly, use your background to your advantage. All in all, you have shown us we must be leaders who impact and not just have titles. Thank you very much. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rozy, Rana. We have just experienced the empower through encouragement and also the being present and attentive. As I was listening to Nicole's speech, I was wondering what could have been added, and I thought you were right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now it is to our next evaluator, Holmes Tang, evaluating Sandra. Here is what Holmes said. Leaders provide support to the group together toward a common vision. When I think of Holmes, I think of the power of words because he used them very well. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Holmes Tang, evaluating Sandra Valks.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters members, and most importantly, guests, how has the meeting been for you? I'm sure you will be like me to find that Sandra today gave an exemplary speech that shows us if you want to learn more about leadership, including your own, where's the club to be? Leadership Speaks. Today, Sandra reminded us through her many stories that in different contexts, at different stages of life, your leadership style may have slightly varied because of the needs of the particular time. Yet, deep down, each of us do have a home style. And it's Sandra's own identification. For her, it is the servant leadership. Well done, Sandra. Let me change my perspective a little bit. I'm a young leader here and out here trying to extract as much value as I can from Sandra. What are some of the things that remains as a question mark on my mind? Firstly, since Sandra has gone through multiple stages of different leadership styles, how has the earlier styles affected, maybe made it easier or harder to transit between different styles or learn different styles? Secondly, since she said her home style is servant leadership, which is a combination of democratic, coaching, and altruistic, I was looking forward to a story of how she found this style. And was she very happy, like finding herself, finding her soul home? Wow! Did she feel like that when she found a home style? And finally, now with all these years of experience, how does she see her leadership style change, perhaps in the next 5 years? Would she become more motherly to her team? Would she go back to become a discipline master again? Stand up, sit down. What would the style be? I'm very curious. Well, in summary, I would say I still learned a lot. Sandra reminded each and every one of us we need to reflect on our style. We need to be self-aware of what we are doing and what is the impact we have on others. We will transit between styles at different stages in life, and it's fine. It's okay. In fact, it's good because we are adapting to the situation. Had Sandra delved a bit more in the transition difference of different styles and shared a little bit more in stories of servant leadership, perhaps I might be even more mind blown than I'm already at for her contributions to today's meeting on Leaders Add Value. Thank you so much, Sandra, and back to General Evaluator Gerda.
Thank you, Toastmaster Holmes. Please note that Sandra was the third speaker, so I jumped over a couple of people. I will go back to the order. Thank you for your indulgence. And now it is my pleasure to call on Elena Constantine. She is evaluating the first speaker, Tony Bratschitsch. This is what Elena says. Leaders add value when they make sure that they have valuable information to give. Information that has empathy and empowerment. Information that conveys confidence and a sense of power. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Elena Constantine.
What an amazing contribution to the theme of leading, of how leaders add value, to have the purpose of your speech, of Tony's speech being the timing of a conversation. So what my main takeaway of the day was, it's not only the what and the how, but the when. So dear Tony, Toastmasters, guests, General Evaluator, thank you. I want to thank and show my gratitude to Tony for making his message clear and engaging. And he didn't only do that by repeating it in the beginning and the middle and the end, but he did that through using the logos, pathos, ethos triangle of persuasive rhetorics of Aristotle, and allow me to utilize that whilst I describe what I believe Tony did in an excellent fashion. First of all, in terms of logos, his use of words and persuasive information was more than adequate and contributed really well to building his ethos, which from the beginning we felt huge credibility and integrity on behalf of Tony, and that's why we were able to really engage with his pathos, the passion, the persuasiveness of his particular storytelling, and the use of the senses that he did really well, and an engaging delivery and way of presenting himself. Now, there's very little I can add to such an experienced speaker's pathway, but since Tony's main purpose today was to practice his pacing and his use of dramatic pauses and his sense of not being feeling rushed, I have to recommend that maybe practicing and preparing more thoroughly would have helped him not go over the time limit, and that way did seem rushed and maybe not using his pacing as much as he would have liked to, or having maybe the dramatic pauses. I also want to encourage Tony to make use of a plain background or a green screen. We talked about this, we exchanged some messages, and I think he would like our teams nudging into maybe getting a green screen behind him so we can take full use of his hands, which were amazingly used to the right and the left and connecting, but they got lost a couple of times, which made the storytelling, take longer, and in that way not arrive to where he wanted to on time. In summary, I think the persuasiveness in Tony's speech was amazing, and the clear message of the not what and how, but the when. I thought great usage of Logos Pathos ethos, which if practiced a little bit better would have really contributed greatly to his wonderful speech. So confrontation, yes, I will start at the front of confrontation and manage my timing. Thank you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Elena Constantino. Great summary of glows and grows for the speaker. Thank you. And now I will call on our next evaluator, Toastmaster Alfen Abara. Toastmaster Alfen is evaluating Luciano Joao. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Alfen Abara.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Ladies and gentlemen, what is your mental statement after listening to Luciano? I feel so inspired. And that is the most excellent thing from Luciano's speech today. He used inspiring techniques to move me. And the techniques that he used is logical thing. One of his lines, my favorite today, is, how can you give something to others if you don't own it? Wow, that statement lies in my mind for many long times. And to support that style, he also has the tone, the right tone to motivate people. The brief and bold tone, that is important to motivate people. So we assure that you have enough energy to transfer to others. And yes, because you own it. And one more thing is the use of humor. I enjoy it a lot. Sometimes motivation is more serious, yet Luciano can inject in humor and I can enjoy it and relax to listen more to his speech. And what can I suggest to Luciano's speech? The first is the pause. I noticed the pause is not sufficient to let the lines sink into audience. I noticed the pause is around 1 to 2 seconds, yet what I feel is better is using 3-4 seconds after your lines. For example, how can you give love to others when you don't have it? Let that sink and it can be more. And the second one, about the project. The project is about planning, organizing, leading, implementing to an event. And on his speech, I noticed Luciano used his life as the project, where I believe this is not meeting with the objective of the project. What I suggest is instead of using your life as your project, you can use an event. Can be experience of leading a contest or leading a team on doing research. How you lead your team, how you plan. Maybe you can share us a story, the conflicts with your team, how you make decisions. I think that can be better for you because talking about our life is more comfortable. So move from your comfort zone to talk about something that have more effort to do. Okay? Inspiring speaker, right tone, need more pause and use events to elaborate this project. Back to you, Dee.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alfin, I like that you mentioned the project because this is very important that as evaluators that we take the time to read the project so that we can provide an evaluation that will empower the speakers. Well done. And now I would like to call on our fourth evaluator. And today it is Mr. Tony Bratschitsch. Tony had two roles today. and now he is in the role of the evaluator, evaluating Irene. This is what Tony says. Leaders add value. That means that they lead with their behaviors. Please help me welcome Tony Bratschitsch.
Oh, I was applauding you, not me, not myself. Thank you, GE. Irene, you asked me to monitor your energy level, and I found your energy to be one of intensity. I have a loud voice. Other people have soft voices. You are you, I am I, Your energy is one of intensity. Every word you spoke had meaning. Now, the big picture of your presentation was, the leadership pathway. So you were leading us with your example. Your project was storytelling. You told us your story. And you ended your presentation with energy, the intensity of your quotation. Now that I have found my voice, I will not be silent. So yes, you maintained your energy. If anything, you intensified your energy with that powerful message, which also invoked leadership. Follow me. There was a suggestion I have in my mind, and it's minor. There was such a powerful message conveyed at the end. I think, of course, this is the benefit of hindsight and evaluation. It's just my opinion. But I think if you had opened your presentation with something similar, questioning the audience, do you have a voice? Do you know your voice? Have you lost your voice? How can you find your voice? You feel you say what you mean. Do people understand that? So open up with something concise, because you ended with something concise that was so powerful. So in summary, you really worked at this. You applied the project to your storytelling, to your leadership abilities, on finding your voice so that people understand what you mean. When you talk, you want people to listen because you have something to say. That was my understanding. And that quotation at the end, again, I repeat it. Now that I have found my voice, I will not be silent. So what you're saying is, when I have something to say, people will listen because I will say it. That's leadership. That's energy. That's intensity. So final note on summary. Start with something similar to what you're going to tell us. That's minor. Well, really well done, Irene. Thank you. Back to you, GE.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tony Bratschitsch. Well done. The power of intensity. Wow, from the beginning, and then you ended it with that as well. Well done. Thank you. And that brought us to the end of the evaluations. I will say that I am not only impressed, but very happy that all of us brought our contribution at the forefront. Each evaluation was done well and presented in a way that I know the speakers will take from and move forward because of your evaluations. You were present and attentive, you empowered through encouragement, and you shared what you know. This is definitely the recipe of great evaluations. Thank you. I would like to ask that we, how do we say that, to set the poll, start the poll so that we know which is best evaluator, who is the best evaluator. Thank you. And I would encourage everyone to vote. And as we are voting, I would like to call on the role players for their reports. Let me call on our grammarian, Toastmaster Hassan Miko. Toastmaster Miko, can you please tell us the results and what you have observed today?
Thank you, General Evaluator. It was a session of learning for all of us, and we have learned quite a lot from the very beginning, from the Toastmaster of the day, who took the role impromptu, but didn't filter images. Okay, so I'd like to start with the report of word of the day. It was mentioned by our Toastmaster of the day and educational session evaluator, our first speaker, second speaker, and the final speaker today. And the good uses of some of that I could get was by our Toastmaster of the day, who mentioned the importance of leadership, how it adds values. Like he said, great leaders bring value in 3 key ways: clarity, character, and contribution. And then he went on elaborating those qualities. Our educational speaker, Nicole Whyte, used quite a few good words. Like, to explain her speech, she mentioned how the impact is created by leadership and how the ripple effect can generate more leadership. And she also mentioned how the value-added leadership contributes towards the community. And her motto was what she was told, like, let your work speak for itself. And she put emphasis on belief, integrity, empower, elevate, legacy, and that's how she navigated through her project, mentioning the different qualities of leadership. And she also mentioned a quote by poet Angelo. I have learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That was a nice quote. And our another speaker, Tony, he broke down the word confrontation and later on put the emphasis on it's not just the words we say or how we say it, but it is also about the timing. And when you have to take action, you have to do it diligently. Like he mentioned, intelligence without emotion. So that when you take action, you have to be impartial to the situation. And Sandra Valks also demonstrated how our leadership style brought changes or added values to the community. Like she mentioned about democratic coaching, altruistic style of leadership. And there are many more quotes, but I couldn't catch them all, so I do not want to misrepresent them. But I was really amazed with all the other good uses of words. I could hardly find any improper use of English today actually. So thank you everyone, and I give my virtual podium back to General Evaluator. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hassan. I would also like to ask the timer to share the timing of the evaluators in the chat. Thank you. Now, here is my report. As we know as Toastmasters, preparing a meeting has much to do with what is happening in the background, because this is how we prepare for the people who will show up so that we give them something of value. It is like when you are having people at home and you invite them, you make sure that everything is ready for those people in order for them, when they come, they feel welcomed. They feel that they are not only seen, but they are valued. And this is what happens here as we prepare our meeting. We also know that things may happen. Things that are out of our control may happen. And it is so important that we all stay ready for whenever something happens. Any one of us can jump to the occasion. And today, Bram did that. Here is what I want to say as well, in order for everybody, all members, to help each other to prepare for the meeting. Introductions are very powerful. And that's why we do ask that you put your introduction in via the link that is provided. And if you cannot do that, then at least share it with the Toastmaster of the Day, General Evaluation, because that helps us to get to know you a little bit more. Okay, so that we don't feel like we are introducing someone more than the other person. So for that, I will continue to ask for your help. All in all, I believe that was a meeting that was well run. We've had not only powerful speakers, but also powerful evaluators. I have received some private messages telling me how good you were. So I want you to know that you have done a wonderful job. And as self-directed leaders, we continue to show up, to empower, and also to do what? Share what we know. And now it is my pleasure to give the control back to our Toastmaster of the Day, Bram Ramon.
Thank you, Gerda. We are indeed here to share what we know, to add value, to take and inspire our members and our guests to the next level. Gerda, I loved what you said about when you invite guests at home, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared well so that your guests feel welcome. Absolutely. And even when you prepare well, Sometimes things don't go your way. But if you prepared well, your guests will certainly be forgiving and they won't be gossiping behind your back. We are all Toastmasters. We never gossip. Of course, right, Toastmasters? Ladies and gentlemen, I have a great legendary Toastmaster here to do the thought of the day, which will be aligned to the theme of the day. And that legendary Toastmaster is Shanicia Bellamy. If you can spotlight Shanicia here for me with me. Now, why do I call her legendary Toastmaster? Because she is the president in Guyana for her club there, which is called Legendary Toastmasters. Shanicia, are you there? And can you please open your video? Madam Zoom Master, can you find Shanicia?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Shanicia. Oops, you're gone again. We'll sort it out. We'll sort it out. It can get very tiring after 2.5 hours of spotlighting people. Thank you, Bindu, for your patience. Well, we'll wait for Shanicia to be spotlighted again. There we go. All right, Shanicia. Over to you for your thought of the day.
Thank you. Great leaders do not just lead, they add value. They inspire growth, spark innovation, and help others rise to their potential. For me, value-added leadership means showing up with purpose, lifting up those around you, and leaving a lasting impact. It's not about titles or power. It's about service, being able to influence, and also being intentional in all you do. Last Thursday, I attended a Toastmasters meeting where the guest speaker encouraged us to leave someone better than we found them. I believe this was a powerful statement that resonated with me, and I believe it ties right into our discussion today. I was able to reflect on those who left me better than they found me by seeing that potential in me, by being intentional, and of course, by adding value. Even our Toastmaster of the day, Nicole, challenged us to think a little about those who believed in us before we had that confidence to believe in ourselves. Those are the leaders on whose shoulder we now stand because they were able to add value and bring out the best version of ourselves. As we leave here today, my challenge to us is to pay it forward, to emulate that type of leader, and to leave people better than we found them by being present and intentional in adding value to them and bringing out the best version of themselves. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, thank you, Shanicia, for that wonderful thought of the day. You certainly uplift me with your wonderful, inspiring words. You are adding value to me and to the meeting. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now comes the time for the awards, and I think Irene, are you ready for the awards, or do you need time? Irene is actually putting them up on the screen. There we go. So she's spotlighting that. Thank you very much. If you can you all see that? So our best evaluator is, of course, Rozy Rana from Dorbans. Rozy, congratulations. What an amazing evaluation. It was inspiring, and you really added value to our speaker.
Thank you. What's the coffee?
Rozy, we're coming over for coffee soon. And our best effort speaker today, Nicole Whyte. One of our guests thought that she was a guest speaker. Nicole Whyte is a member. Only members speak at Leadership Speak because of our we have so many members. We have no space for guest speakers unless they are international presidents who do come regularly to speak. And the second best effort speaker, Irene Sadia. It was a powerful presentation, Irene. I really appreciated that you're coming out. I mean, you were hesitant to speak for quite a while. You were speaking at other places and venues, but not at Leadership Speak. And today you said, damn it, I'm going to go and speak. And you did speak well and powerfully. And I'm sure everyone agrees. Irene, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing a powerful presentation today. You are finding your voice and you will inspire the rest of us to find ours. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is all about adding value. And so let's add value to our guests who are here. And we can see that there's a long note from Francia, in the chat there. Thank you very much, Francia. So if Francia is still here before she leaves, if you can spotlight Francia for me, because she's got a nice note. I don't know what it is all about. I can't read and speak at the same time. Can you find Francia there for us, Zoom Master? There we go. And spotlight me at the same time, Zoom Master. So Francia, now let me try and pronounce your name, okay? Let me just try and pronounce your last name. So it is, oh. All right, we'll sort this out. Can you, I know it's very tiring, right? After 3 hours of spotlighting people, it's not easy to spotlight people. So Rasolo Mama Pionona. Of course, I've totally killed your name. That's all right. Tell us where you're from and tell us what you thought about this meeting today. And I do see that you did put in the guest book that you want to join, but you are at level 1 or something. Over to you, Francia.
Hi, everyone. I really appreciate this meeting because it's my first time to be at so advanced level in Toastmasters Club. And I am from Madagascar. And for this week, I'm here in Tanzania. And the president of Toastmaster Tanzania has suggested me to join this meeting, this online meeting as well. And it's my first time to see those roles like Evaluator of Toast, Evaluator of TMOD, and it's my first time as well to hear a keynote speaker. I see that it's for level 4, right? Level 4 or level 5?
As soon as you complete level 3, so you don't have to be finishing level 4. The last speech in level 3, as soon as you do it, you can join Leadership Speak at that time. So Nicole Whyte is one of our committee members, and she will follow up with you. And she's actually put a note for you as well in the chat where you put your note. So we will definitely be following up with you. And Nicole Whyte, please note Francia's information. It is actually in our guest book. So we'll pass that on to Nicole so that she can connect with you. All right, Francia, thank you very much. And please do, we will support you in completing your level 3 as quickly as you can. All right? Superb.
Thank you.
Welcome. Our next guest that I would like to speak to, if they are still here, I can't see them. Let's see, is Veronica Zuze. If are you here still, Veronica?
Yes, I'm still here.
All right, so if you can spot Veronica for us, Madam Zoom Master, with me. Okay, I'll do that myself. There we go. I spoke to Veronica a couple of days ago. We had met at an event, and so she was very interested in what we do over here. Veronica, how did you find our meeting today?
Very, very exciting. I learned quite a lot of new things. The keynote speech, the evaluation of the Toastmaster of the day. Yeah, I've not witnessed such type of evaluation. And I love the speeches, very inspiring, quite relevant to the topic as well. I'll definitely visit again and consider joining Leadership Speak. It's my first time being in an advanced club as well.
Wonderful. We look forward to you becoming a member as soon as possible, and I'll connect with you again, Veronica. We spoke a couple of days ago, and I'll connect again to see how we
Thank
can
you.
guide you to being a member, and come back next week as well, of course. Thank you,
I will
Veronica.
try and join you again next week. Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Our next guest is, of course, another person from Philippines, Nicole Segovia. Apparently, she is not a Toastmaster. Nicole Segovia, are you still here? Madam Zoom Master, can you find Nicole Segovia? No, she's not here. She's gone. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Karine Bastos.
She was one of my guests. She had to leave.
She had to leave. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. And then let's see. We have Tsegaye Wondimu. Are you there, Tsegaye Wondimu? That person has not completed the level 3 either, but they are here. They're from Sharjah, which is, of course, UAE. Are you here? All right, let's see how you spell your name. Tsegaya, Tsega. Nope, they are not here. Okay, so, but they filled the guest book, which is a good thing. All right, let's have a look. Who else is here? Who else is here?
Pirate Michelle.
Baraka Milinga? Hello, Baraka Milinga. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Tell us where you are from, Madam Zoom Master.
Yes.
Please, if you can spotlight Baraka instead of Nicole, that'd be great. He's actually put on his video, so it's been a very tiring day for our Zoom Master. It's a very intense role. It's the most intense role. We need Baraka, not Holmes. All right, somebody help Bindu here. So Baraka, how are you doing? And if you can put on your video, we can see you. What did you think of the meeting, and what did you learn today?
Thank you. The meeting was very exciting. I'm Baraka from Tanzania. So this is actually my first time to join this kind of meeting online internationally. But I'm here in a club known as Tanzania Titans Toastmasters. So a lot of lessons from the speakers as well, from the evaluators and everyone involved. So thank you very much.
Asante sana, karibu tu Baraka. Mimi nakotoka Mombasa, Kenya,
Sawa.
lakini nimekaa hapo Canada. Ni baridi sana hapo. Sasa,
Yeah, baridi sometimes.
Baraka, are you thinking of becoming a member of Leadership Speak? How can we help you become a member?
I'm already a member of a club here.
Sure.
So sorry if you.
Okay. Please do come as a guest as much as you can, as many times as you like. Please absorb everything that we do here and transfer it to your own club. Who invited you? Was it Atul? Atul is a member here from Dar Toastmasters. He's the president at Dar Toastmasters. And we have got a couple of members from Tanzania, I believe. We have the Tanzanian flag there. There it is. See that flag over there? Tanzania.
Yeah, I can
We
see
have
that.
members from Tanzania right here. And thank you, Baraka, for coming. Please fill in the guest book in any case and let us know how you felt about the meeting. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would like to introduce to you Joyce Kibe, who is intending to become a member in May. She's put in her application, and we have received a membership application already. So we are getting ready to get on board Joyce Kibe on May the 1st. Not Nicole Whyte, Joyce Kibe. Madam Zoom Master, do you need any help? Please tell us if you need any help. We'll help you out. But if you can, Joyce Kibe, can you put on your video for a second and your sound? All right, maybe not. We can't hear Joyce Kibe. Is she here? Madam Zoom Master, just ask somebody to help you, okay? Hannah, can you help Bindu? Then we have got Pierrette Michelle. Hi, Pierrette.
Yeah,
I
hi,
hope I'm
Franca.
pronouncing that well.
Mhm.
Pierrette Michelle, please, if you can spotlight Pierrette. All right, we got a very tired person here. Pierre, thank you so much for your messages that you've been sending me on the chat. Thank you very much. Where are you from? And are you a Toastmaster? And how can we help you?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you for blessing me with this exceptional Toastmaster meeting. I am in Baltimore in the United States. I'm from St. Margaret's Achievers Toastmasters in Seat Pleasant, Maryland. And I have been a Toastmasters for 16 years, March. And I especially enjoyed, the speeches were phenomenal, but at my club, we struggle with giving helpful feedback, where we do well with giving flowers of accolades, but we struggle with letting our speakers know where they can do even better. So I especially appreciated the evaluation segment of this meeting.
Wonderful. And are you thinking of becoming a member? We welcome you to be a member here.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm up to it. I just finished level. I just found out by listening that once you clear level 3, you can be considered, and I am at level 5, so I've completed an entire path. I don't know if I have what it takes to be at your level, though.
So, if you've completed level 3, if you are confident to put your foot forward, you can become a member. We will see how we can help you.
And you meet on Saturdays, as I can see, but how many times a month?
It is every week.
Every week.
Every week for 51 weeks a year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And what I said 51, not 52 weeks, is the nearest week to the New Year's Eve is the only time we don't meet.
Okay.
Otherwise, we meet every week. So you got plenty of opportunity to attend and speak.
Very well said. That is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
I can't blame my kids. I'm an empty nester, so yeah. And
Awesome.
my meeting meets the 1st and the 3rd of the month at 11:30. So yeah, I would have to see the time.
Sure, absolutely.
There's
absolutely. So Nicole Whyte, if you can connect with Pierrette here and get the details, because I don't see her in the chat. So just details for connection, that's all, and to investigate the possibility of membership. No pressure, Pierrette. Okay. Now Joyce Kibe is back online, I believe. So Joyce, if you can put on your video, and Baron, since you are back here as the host, Baron, could you help? Baron, first of all, Baron, are you here?
Good evening. Sorry.
Joyce, so good to see you. We've been talking for almost 1 year.
We don't have lights in my house, so I'm in
Joyce, your sound is breaking up. We can't hear you well. I think the connection is not quite good yet. So, but welcome. We will officially welcome you on 1st of May. Right now, you're going through the process of onboarding. All right. Okay. Thank you, Joyce. Baron, are you here in this room? All right. So Joyce, thank you very much. We will chat later. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, if I can see that we have talked to all the guests, except for those guests who are, of course, here on a very regular basis, like Marilyn, Jean Small. They've been coming for 3 years. So thank you for keep coming and keep absorbing everything. Adding value. This is what we do here at Leadership Speak. We add tremendous value to everyone who is a member. We spend a lot of time training and mentoring behind the scenes. This is not the only time we meet. We meet other times of the week. For those who those are not official meetings. Those are training and mentoring meetings. If a member needs training and mentoring in any aspect of leadership or speaking, they come on Tuesdays or Thursdays to be trained. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fantastic meeting where we've added value to everyone and we've risen to the next level. It's been a great contribution, Asan Miko. Thank you. Thank you, Irene, for that wonderful speech. You found your voice and now you begin to add tremendous amount of value to everyone. Irene, Bindu, thank you so much for being our Zoom master. I know it can be very tiring, right? After 2.5 hours, it can get very confusing. Very intense job, I know. Nicole, dressed to kill as always when she's speaking. Amazing. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Hannah, thank you for your TMOD role, TMOD evaluation role. Thank you for the feedback. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned. Bindu, can you please stop the recording? And Baron, can you